I thought I knew what betrayal felt like, but nothing could have prepared me for the sickening truth that shattered my entire family. It all started when my brother demanded my house, claiming I was a traitor for refusing. It was last week when Mark, my brother, just showed up at my house. Out of the blue. He had his newborn baby cradled in one arm and a fat folder of papers in the other. He said we needed to talk, something important. My mind immediately went to new parent struggles. Maybe he needed advice or just a break. I couldn't have been more wrong. I offered him coffee, trying to be the supportive sibling, but he cut me off mid-sentence, his voice flat, emotionless. You don't need this house anymore. You should give it to us. We got a baby now. I actually laughed. A real, honest-to-God laugh. I thought it was one of his bizarre, dark jokes. But then I looked at his face. Dead serious. Not a flicker of humor. My laugh died in my throat. I just stared, waiting for the punchline that never, ever came. What are you even talking about? I finally managed to ask, and that's when he launched into it. A rambling, self-pitying explanation about how he and his wife, Jessica, were barely making ends meet in their tiny apartment. Apparently, their landlord had hiked the rent, and with the new baby, they were drowning. And because I'm single, financially stable, and have this big place, he decided I should just hand over my home. Let me explain something crucial about this house. It isn't just a house. My grandparents left it to me a couple of years ago when they passed. It's not some grand mansion, but it's my dream home. I grew up visiting it every summer, a sanctuary filled with precious memories. When it became mine, I poured almost every single penny of my savings into it. New kitchen, gleaming new floors, even updated all the ancient plumbing. This isn't just property. It's my safe space, a piece of my history, built with my sweat and tears. I try to keep my voice calm, rational. Mark, I'm genuinely sorry you're struggling, but this house was left to me for a reason. I've worked incredibly hard to make it my own. But he wouldn't let it go. You don't have a family, he practically snarled. It's selfish to keep all of this to yourself when we have a child to think about. That's when Jessica, who'd been lurking in the car, suddenly appeared. She started chiming in, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness, about how family should help each other. And then, the ultimate slap in the face. She revealed they'd already planned out how to make the space work for their growing family. Planned out. She even had the gall to suggest I could just rent a nice apartment somewhere since I'm just one person. I was absolutely dumbfounded. This is my home, I stated, my voice firm despite the tremor in my hands. I'm not giving it up. And that's when it got ugly. Jessica's eyes welled up with what looked like fake tears. I knew she wouldn't understand, she sniffled dramatically. She's always been selfish. Mark's face darkened, his tone turning aggressive. He accused me of hoarding resources. He actually said, "It's not fair that you have all this while we're struggling to get by." At this point, pure, unadulterated anger was boiling in my veins. I could barely keep my voice steady. "Get out, both of you. Leave my house." But as they stormed towards the door, Mark dropped that ominous folder of papers onto my coffee table. "Think about it," he warned, his voice low and menacing. "It's what's best for the family." After they finally left, I sat there, staring at that folder, a pit forming in my stomach. When I finally dared to open it, my blood ran cold. It was filled with documents, suggested timelines for my moving out, a detailed budget for how they'd maintain the house, even a drafted letter to my HOA informing them of the change in ownership. The sheer entitlement. They had planned this like it was a done deal, like I had no say whatsoever. The very next day, things somehow managed to get worse. My parents called me, and to my absolute shock, they were on Mark's side. My mom, in that sweet but manipulative tone she sometimes uses, said, "You don't need such a big place, sweetheart. Mark has a baby now, and it's only fair to prioritize the family." My dad chimed in with, "You're single, you have flexibility." They don't. I tried to explain, to make them understand, but it was like talking to a brick wall. Every time I said no, they twisted it, making me feel like I was some greedy, heartless villain. What truly crushed me was when my mom said, "I thought we raised you better than this," as if I was the one being unreasonable. For a couple of days, I actually started to doubt myself. Was I being selfish? Should I just give in, let them have the house? But then I remembered everything I'd been through to make this place mine. The late nights, scraping wallpaper, the weekends spent installing cabinets, the years I saved every extra penny. This wasn't just about the house. It was about how little they respected my boundaries, my hard work, my life. When I told Mark, again, that I wouldn't be giving them my house, he completely flipped. He called me heartless. He accused me of tearing the family apart. He stormed off, and later that night, Jessica launched into a long, dramatic Facebook rant about toxic relatives who turned their backs on family in their time of need. She didn't name me, but it was painfully obvious who she meant. And then, the messages started flooding in from extended family. Why won't you help poor Mark and Jessica? I felt completely ganged up on, attacked from every angle. My own family was against me, all because I said no to something utterly ridiculous. Then came the final, gut-wrenching blow. This morning, a text from Mark. If you don't do the right thing, don't expect to be part of our lives anymore. And that includes your nephew. By the way, if you're still with me and hanging on every word of this absolute madness, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the shocking twists coming next. And trust me, there are more unbelievable stories on the way. If you thought my brother demanding my house was bad, buckle up, because things have taken a turn I never, ever saw coming. I honestly didn't think it could get more ridiculous. I was wrong. After Mark and Jessica stormed out and posted their passive-aggressive Facebook rant, I actually thought the drama might start to die down. I foolishly believed they'd eventually realize how insane their demand was and just move on. But no. A few days later, I came home from work to find an envelope taped to my front door. Inside, a notice of legal action. Yes, you read that right. My brother and his wife are trying to sue me for my own house. At first, I thought it was some sick prank. Who does that? But as I read through the documents, my stomach dropped. They were claiming the house was part of the family estate and that I had unfairly claimed it without consideration for their needs. They were demanding I either sign over the deed or sell the house and split the proceeds with them. I was in complete disbelief. My grandparents left this house to me in their will. Clearly, explicitly, my name was on it. I had absolutely nothing to do with their decision. But apparently, Mark and Jessica think they're entitled to override a legal will because they have a baby and I don't. The audacity. The very next day, I call my lawyer. I was still trying to wrap my head around the fact that my own brother would stoop this low. My lawyer, bless his heart, quickly reassured me that their case was flimsy at best. The will is ironclad, he told me. There's no legal basis for their claim. Still, just knowing I'd have to deal with this mess, the sheer stress of it, made my blood boil. How dare they drag me into court over something that isn't even up for debate? What really pushed me over the edge, though, was when I discovered who was bankrolling their ludicrous lawsuit. My own parents. They've been helping Mark and Jessica pay for a lawyer to come after me. When I confronted them, my mom, through choke-back tears, tried to justify it. We're just trying to make things fair for everyone. Fair? What about the years I spent saving and working to make this house livable? What about the fact that I didn't ask for this house? It was given to me. My dad was no better. We just don't want to see Mark and Jessica struggle, he said, shaking his head. You're doing fine on your own. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told them flat out that they were enabling Mark's entitlement, and that I'd never forgive them if they kept pushing this. My mom started crying, muttering, I don't know what's happened to this family. Yeah, Mom, neither do I. As if all that wasn't enough, Jessica has taken her campaign against me to a whole new level on social media. She's been posting all these sob stories about how heartless I am for hoarding the family home, while their poor baby is crammed into a tiny apartment. She even posted pictures of their apartment, making it look far worse than it actually is, alongside a caption like, all we want is a safe space for our baby. Is that too much to ask? The comment section was a cesspool of people sympathizing with her, saying things like, your sister should be ashamed of herself, and family is supposed to support each other. I tried to ignore it, but then I started getting messages from extended family members again, cousins, aunts, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. They were all saying I should do the right thing, and help out. Some even accused me of being ungrateful for the inheritance. It's like they've completely forgotten that this is my house. At this point, I felt like I was losing my mind. Every time I tried to explain the situation, I was met with guilt trips and accusations. It wasn't just the lawsuit or the social media drama. It was the fact that my own family had turned against me. I felt like I was fighting a battle I never asked to be part of. But then, things took an even darker turn. While going through the legal documents again with my lawyer, I noticed something odd. Buried deep in the paperwork was a mention of a family agreement that I had supposedly signed, stating that the house was meant to be shared. I was utterly confused because I've never, ever signed anything like that. When I showed it to my lawyer, he confirmed what I was already suspecting. The signature was forged. I was livid. Who would stoop that low? My lawyer said it was almost certainly Mark and Jessica, but proving it would take time. Meanwhile, they've been telling everyone I'm dragging out the legal process just to spite them. As if that wasn't enough, I recently found out that Jessica has been outright lying about their financial situation. A friend of mine saw her at a high-end baby store, dropping hundreds on designer nursery furniture. And get this, she's also been posting photos of their struggles on Facebook, right alongside pictures of fancy dinners and spa days. So much for barely making ends meet. I'm starting to wonder if this was their plan all along. Did they see me as an easy target? Did they think I'd just roll over and hand them the house to avoid conflict? The thought makes me sick to my stomach. I've always tried to be there for my family, but this feels like a betrayal I can't come back from. The lawsuit is still ongoing, but my lawyer is confident we'll win. That said, the damage has already been done. My relationship with my family feels broken beyond repair. Every time I think about what they've put me through, I feel this burning mix of anger and profound sadness that I can't even begin to describe. And the cherry on top? Mark showed up at my house again yesterday. He had the absolute nerve to look me in the eye and say, "You're going to regret this. When the baby grows up, they'll know what kind of aunt you really are." I didn't even dignify it with a response. I just closed the door. I don't know how this will ultimately end, but one thing's for sure. I'm not giving up my house. If that makes me the villain in their story, then so be it. This isn't just about the house anymore. This is about a family secret that's completely shattered everything I thought I knew about my life. To recap, my brother Mark and his wife Jessica are suing me for my house, the one my grandparents left to me in their will. My parents are siding with them and even funding their legal fees. Things have been tense, to say the least, but I was confident the case would fall apart since the house is legally mine. What I didn't expect was for this fight to unearth a secret that would change everything. It started a few weeks ago. My lawyer had requested some old family documents to further disprove Mark and Jessica's ridiculous claim that the house was part of some family inheritance meant to be shared. I didn't think much of it, figured it was just standard procedure. But when the documents arrived, I noticed something strange. There was a file I'd never seen before, tucked away, labeled with my grandparents' names and dated decades before I was even born. Curiosity, a dangerous thing, got the better of me. I opened it. Inside were letters, old legal agreements, and a faded, handwritten note from my grandmother. What I read made my stomach drop, made the world tilt on its axis. It turns out, Mark isn't my full brother. He's my half-brother. Apparently, before my parents got married, my mom had an affair with another man, Mark's biological father. My grandparents knew about it and were furious, but they agreed to keep the secret buried for the sake of family unity. The letters also revealed that Mark's biological father had left a significant sum of money to my mom when Mark was born, with the understanding that it would be used specifically for Mark's benefit. And here's the kicker. My grandparents used part of that very money to buy the house that eventually became mine. I sat there in absolute shock, rereading the letters over and over. It felt like the ground beneath me had completely vanished. My entire life, I believed we were a normal family. Well, as normal as families get. But this was a betrayal on so many levels. My mom had kept this secret for decades, and now it was coming to light in the ugliest, most public way imaginable. At first, I didn't know what to do with the information. Should I confront my mom? Tell Mark? I decided to sit on it for a few days, just trying to process the seismic shift in my reality. But of course, secrets like this have a way of exploding on their own. Last week, during another heated argument with Mark, he blurted out, "You don't even know the whole story. You're not the only one Grandma and Grandpa screwed over." I froze. My heart hammered against my ribs. I asked him what he meant, and that's when he dropped the bomb. He knew. He knew he wasn't my full brother. He'd known for years. Apparently, our mom told him the truth when he was a teenager. But instead of feeling betrayed by her, he felt like he was owed something more. Like the money his biological father left was rightfully his. That's why he feels entitled to the house. In his twisted mind, the house was bought with his inheritance, so it should go to him. I was utterly speechless. I asked him why he didn't just say something earlier if he felt that way. His response? "Because I knew you'd never give it up willingly." He admitted it. The lawsuit, the forged documents, even the vile social media campaign. It was all part of a calculated plan to pressure me into handing over the house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't just entitlement. This was deliberate, manipulative scheming. And my parents were in on it. When I confronted them, they didn't even deny it. My mom, her voice barely a whisper, said, "We just wanted to make things right for Mark." I asked her how she thought it was okay to lie to me for my entire life, to let me believe this house was truly mine, only to turn around and help Mark try to take it away. Her response, "We thought you'd understand. You have your whole life ahead of you. Mark needs this more." That was the moment I realized I couldn't trust them anymore. They didn't see me as their daughter. They saw me as an obstacle to Mark's happiness. I told them, with every ounce of resolve I had left, that I wanted nothing to do with any of them until this mess was resolved. Since then, I've been going through a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, betrayal, profound sadness. I've felt it all. But strangely, I've also started to feel a strange sense of relief. At least now, I know the truth. I know why my family has treated me like an outsider, why they've always bent over backward for Mark while expecting me to fend for myself. It doesn't make it hurt any less, but it gives me clarity. As for the lawsuit, my lawyer is preparing to counter their claims with everything we've uncovered. The forged documents alone are enough to sink their case, and I'm seriously considering pressing charges for fraud. Mark and Jessica are doubling down, though. They've been telling everyone I stole Mark's birthright. Some of our extended family have turned against me, swayed by their lies, but thankfully, others have started to see through the blatant manipulation. The house is still mine, and I'm not letting it go. But the cost of keeping it has been higher than I ever imagined. My relationship with my parents and Mark is completely destroyed. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive them for what they've done. But one thing's for sure, I'm done being the family scapegoat. It's been a devastating journey, uncovering these hidden truths. What would you have done if you discovered such a monumental secret about your family, especially when your own home was at stake? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know your perspective on this.